What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am David Gldnmnd, host of the Rec Show podcast, and I want to remind you that if you enjoy this music podcast, as we continue to spotlight amazing beat makers from around the world and their music journeys, I need you to interact with the show because feedback is important. You can do that by leaving a comment and sharing it on your own social medias. Additionally, I want to keep this music show ad-free. To do that, I need your help because no one can do it alone. Feel free to donate when you click the support the show link or become a subscriber at gldnmnd.bandcamp.com. Thank you again and enjoy this episode. Peace and love, yo.
What is that sound, you ask?
Welcome to the Rec Show podcast, a show dedicated to beat makers around the world. Kick back, relax with the host, Gldnmnd.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
I don't know what the fuck you motherfuckers is doing, but I know you see what the fuck I'm doing. You see what the fuck I'm doing. Shorty could be my muse without me having a dip up in her. Solely inspired the vigor, written centered, pick of the litter. Get up, son, get up, get us some papers out of them, their ledges. Can't let up, everything precise in several setups. Fresh from cheddar, avocado toast, and less embezzle.
Peace. What's going on, everybody? I go by the name of David Gldnmnd, and welcome to episode 70 of the Rec Show podcast. Man, we are 70 episodes in with nothing but amazing beat makers from all across this beautiful planet, man. And so, let me not say this planet, man, because they the mutants, man. They not even from this world, man. I got some people from Namekian. I got some people from, other planets that I don't even know of yet, yo. But, man, thank y'all for helping get this episode or this podcast to 70. All right, and we're gonna keep it moving. All right, because I feel like this is a needed space for the beat community. And that's just my personal opinion. But if you listen to the show and you agree, let me know, man. Let me know in the comments of the show. Let me know on Instagram or Twitter, man. Let me know, man. All right. Last week, man, we had a Virginia native who's currently residing in New York who goes by the name of Doofus or Doof. Man, I need y'all to go check that episode out, man. That was an amazing episode. That was episode 69. Before that was episode 68. We had the one and only Tom Bay, Houston born and raised, and then he moved to Austin, Texas. Amazing musician. And then before that, we had the one and only DiBiase, man. So, crazy jewels in that one as well, man. Check out all the previous episodes whenever you have time. If you're driving, riding, flying, skateboarding, sun gazing, moon gazing, stargazing, whatever it is, man, check it out. Thank you for the love and support, man. And today is no different, man. This is another one for the history books. An amazing musician, you know what I mean? A In Plain Sight NYC founder, a beat maker, a DJ, a designer. He's got some experiences, man. I've been tapped into his music for like, man, I want to say 5, 6 years now, man. And every album, every EP, man, he gets even more dope. So um, he's responsible for the Mango Mondays. So if y'all ever, you know what I mean, got a ripped a drum pattern from the internet, he was probably one of those ones that gave it to you, man. So, yo, man, if you at a show, a live show where you see beat makers doing live sets and you see dreads swinging, this is this individual right here, man. And yo, to the people that's putting these together, man, make that table a little bit higher, so my guy's not hurting his back. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I want y'all to give it up for Brooklyn's own and the one and only Nothing New. All right, welcome Nothing New to the show, man. We are going to hear his music. We're going to hear from him. We're going to tap into everything that he's got going on, learn about him. And yo, we're going to do that right after this, man. So stay locked in. All right. Peace, 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 and love. Yo, make sure y'all counting your blessings and not your problems, because everything's going to work out. Peace and love, yo.
Peace. This is Nothing New, and you're tuned into the Rec Show podcast. Keep it locked. Keep it locked. And getting ready to get into some music stuff probably after this recording is done. But I'm doing good, maintaining.
Word, man. Yo, so once again, man, I just want to thank you for agreeing to do the podcast, man. For my listeners who don't know who you are, which they should slap themselves if they don't by now. But if they don't, go ahead and introduce yourself. Like what your name means. How your name was created, and then any associated collectives and labels that you might be a part of.
Sheesh, that's a loaded question. There's a lot in there to unpack. First and foremost, definitely thank you for having me on board for this. It's a pleasure to stop by and just have a chance to kind of speak on this stuff. My name is basically, if you've seen my album Foreign and Familiar, it's a derivative of that idea. You take a commonplace term like Nothing New and you put like a different spelling on it and recontextualize it with a new fit and a new meaning. And I kind of do that with my music and just overall how I do things within life and how we go through life and everything. When I see something that's been cast aside or unused, be it a record, a piece of gear, an art style, I try to repurpose it, reformat it, and help it fit my needs, but do it in a way that's only specific to me. But I don't even know where the name fully originated from. I always tell people I was trying to figure out after my band kind of broke up, just a way to kind of write music on my own. And that was the name that I kind of came up with while I was sitting on my floor in my parents' house, like just trying to think of what to do next.
Nice. That Foreign and Familiar, that's the one where you were like looking at a crate of vinyl, right?
Yeah. That was all sample based. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I remember that one too. Yeah, so we go get into the albums and all of that, man. So but yo, how long have you been making beats, man?
I've been making beats since 2012. If you're familiar with me or my come up, but I'll explain it to people who don't. I started off as a drummer in metal bands, and my guitarist, he broke his guitar during one practice, just gave up, got a job because he needed to be able to afford equipment, and he wasn't fully invested in working at the time, but now he is. And I needed a space to kind of like make music on my own, like I said before. So 2012, I was on an iPhone 4 and downloaded this thing called Nano Studio and started kind of making my first beats and ideas off that.
Nice. I don't know if you can hear my girls. Ave Joy. I'm doing the podcast. Stop singing, girl.
I'm trying to be famous, bro.
Oh my God, she's in
I'll
there
send
laughing now.
beats.
You know? Okay, come back in an hour.
What?
Come back in an hour, please. Come on, I got things to do. Come on. Love you. Okay.
Bye, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, all right. Man, yeah. So okay. How did you even 2012? But how did you started with the band? But then how did you get into like even making music in the first place? Like where did that originate from?
Beats or like just making music overall?
Like the band wanting to get into the band and then changing over to making beats as well.
Yeah, both my parents are musicians. They were in a reggae band together while I was growing up, and they had rehearsals at my house, just like in our basement. And through being around that, I developed a natural interest in music and playing the drums. And then as I kind of grew up and got older, I figured reggae was a little bit too slow and not as, not as challenging for what I was looking for in terms of drums and instruments. So I moved to metal, and that was kind of a more DIY scene that had me in recording studios a lot. And from being in the studio, I developed like an itch and a knack for kind of just tinkering with gear and coming up with song structures and just, the whole engineering side of things as well as the production side. So it was kind of like, even though it doesn't feel like a natural progression, it was something that was already in motion from before I was even here.
See that? Yo, parents, you never know. You just never know what your kids will get into, man. So just like keep like whatever you into it that's positive and it's not self-destructive, like show that to your kids, man. Like you never know, man. Kids pick up everything. They may not be paying attention to what you say, but they pay attention to what you do. So
yeah,
man. So okay, shout out to your parents, man. Yo, man, for putting you on. Are you self-taught on the drums?
It's kind of like a amalgamation of a bunch of different styles. My dad had taught me some of the rudiments because he's a bassist by trade, but he picked up drums, so I learned a little bit of the basics from him. And then I had a teacher come in and teach me drums, but he was like a drunk kind of like wedding teacher or wedding drummer rather, and he kind of taught me some things, but instilled a lot more bad habits. I did a brief kind of stint in marching band to pick up more rudiments. And then after that, because I was like high school or something, after that, I was fully just playing drums on my own and just whatever I could find on the internet. God bless YouTube. Obviously, YouTube University is my alma mater. But yeah, just through YouTube and just other drummers in the New York kind of metal and hardcore scene, I was picking up just more and more things.
Okay, you was one band, one sound in it then, huh?
Yo, Nick Cannon me.
Yeah,
I don't appreciate that.
Nah, so okay, because I was in band. I was in band. I played the trumpet, so I was just like I love music, and I figured I just heard trumpet everywhere I went, and then played trumpet in church too. So I was like, well, let me just get into that. But I never got into the marching band type of stuff anyway. But yeah, man. How was that experience as far as being in a marching band, and like what did you take away from being in the band?
The importance of playing slowly, man. Like I think I was so interested growing up into my teenage years. I was so interested in getting the chops fast. You know what I mean? Playing everything quickly and being the quickest or hitting the hardest. But with marching band, like I think I came in on my little audition or whatever, and they were looking at me play, and they're like, "Man, you got like bad habits here and bad habits here. It doesn't even matter that you were able to kind of play through whatever we asked you to do. The way you did it was so off." So it really forced me to get back in the rudiments, and like I still carry that discipline across like whatever I'm doing. If I'm learning something, I start slow and do things piecemeal till I understand something and move forward. Like I started taking piano lessons in 2020 during the pandemic, and that reinstated like a lot of those core values of like playing things slowly to get the idea before like trying to rush to get things fast.
Okay, nice. So are you what do they call this, man? When you're trying to learn music theory. Like, what do you think about beat makers learning music theory, or at least some parts of music theory?
It's a tool. You know what I mean? When I first started making beats, I didn't have any melodic training, so I didn't have the theory part of it in terms of like melodies and chords and harmonies. I had the drum theory part from Drumline or whatever. But I think like it's a tool, just like any other tool in your toolbox, and whether you use it or not doesn't make you a better or worse producer. I do feel though that there's merit to learning at least base levels of theory just for helping you get ideas out of your head faster. It's an efficiency thing versus like um some people think that it's more of a like a prerequisite to like actually making beats, but there's so many different tools and DAWs that allow you to make beats without knowing like that much theory. But I do believe that just having that in your toolkit, it just helps you when you're trying to communicate ideas faster. I don't ever have to worry about like losing a melody line or a bass line because I can hum it out or I can play it on like a app or something, but I know what it is. Even if I like lose the fingers for it, you know, like if I lose the positions for it, um, I can pretty much find whatever it is I was coming up with or a derivative of it that's close enough to the idea.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm trying to learn music theory right now. So I'm just trying to like piece everything together. Like I can't read music or anything like that, but I can hear it and then I can try and play it on the keyboards and stuff like that. But chords, I'm having like I always have troubles with chords and stuff like that. But I'm gonna figure it out with the help of like Jay Field. He's got a book out.
Yeah, he's great with that. Yeah, shots to
Yeah,
home.
yeah, he's got a book out, and it's like it's like another person that's got a book out too, as far as trying to learn chord theory and stuff like that. But okay, so like what besides the reggae, what other and rock, were there any other genres of music that you were listening to that made you want to start creating music?
Um, yeah, like I said, the interesting part is that I never really wanted to start making music. It was a thing that kind of happened. You know what I mean? Because it was there and I had the access to do so. But I do think like jazz, and I hate the bastardization of it now, but learning of like jazz through smooth jazz radio and like quiet storm radio, R&B type stuff. Like I had older parents. They weren't really playing hip hop in the house, but that was the radio that I kind of grew up listening to, like Sade. And I think a lot of those ideas, like the chord structures and the voicings and the melodies, those kind of made a big appearance in my personal music when I started making beats for myself. So that's the stuff that I kind of learned my sense of harmony and melody of. And then kind of combining those things with the metal ideas where it's a little bit more non-conventional, or unconventional is the better word, the actual real word, but they're more unconventional ideas in heavy metal, and then also in hip hop and in beat music as a whole, mixed with kind of like the Sade influence and the reggae and the theory too, because my brother's a jazz pianist and he was in the house learning jazz piano, so I was picking up on his stuff too. There's a lot of different ideas kind of formed what you have now.
Man, a whole family of musicians, like is this generational as well?
I believe in certain aspects. I don't know the full lineage, but I know that like it's a gift within like I think both sides of the family. Honestly, it's just a creative bug.
Nice, nice, man. So, I gotta ask, when you say the bastardization of jazz, like, I'm not opposed to what I mean, sparking some controversy and let's talk about it type of conversation. What do you mean by the bastardization of jazz, yo?
Well, it's like the same thing as like the bastardization of hip hop, and we saw it with the whole lo-fi debate too. It's just when things become like things start off as almost countercultural, you know what I mean, and that's where kind of the ideas are most I guess they're more fruitful over there because there's just no limit. There's no regulation. There's no box to kind of sit in. There's no existing structure to kind of follow. Like jazz was very much something where there was obviously theory involved. There was obviously, some background and playing involved, but it was much more in the spirit of creativity than it was in trying to make music to fit an industry. And I feel as though once these things start rising into prominence, media and the general, populace gets a hold of it, and they keep on making derivatives of it until it loses its essence. And that essence, unfortunately, more often than not, is mostly a black or brown essence that gets kind of, commodified into something that can be more palatable for a white audience, or just like a larger scale audience if I was being nice. But if I'm being real, it's more for like a white audience that doesn't readily understand it, because these ideas and the genres of music, they come from places that they're not familiar with oftentimes.
Right. Yo, so I have to and I understand what you're saying, especially with jazz and hip hop, because I've been watching it since I've been a kid, and I've been seeing it like, I'm like, what the heck is going on right now? Like, that's not what I grew up on, type of thing. But I have to ask this because I always seen it on your beat machine. There's a sticker on your beat machine that says the industry is watching. I gotta ask about that sticker. Like, what is that? Is that what we were referring to with that sticker?
Well, it's interesting, man. That sticker came into my life because one of my closest friends, his name is Swing Low on Twitter. He's a producer. He's my best friend and co-founder at In Plain Sight. He had this homie Dave that rapped, and Dave used to come over to my house when I was making beats in 2016 before anybody knew what I was doing. And Dave would rap over my beats, and he would have all these stickers on him. And one of them was that industry's watching sticker. I never asked him for it, just they were left behind in my studio one day. And I had it hanging up on the wall. And it made its way to my SP when I had an SP. And then I met the guy who ran it. His name is Champ. It's like it's like a brand. It's not just a sticker, but the idea behind the brand is similar. You know what I mean? Like, the industry is paying attention to the things that are going on in the underground level. So it's interesting. Whether or not they're admitting it or not, like they do pay attention to trends. They do pay attention to who's doing what, who's talking, and you just never know who someone is in your circle. So they're kind of always watching. You know what I mean? And I kept the sticker there because it's a phrase that kind of always holds weight to me, especially in how I kind of move. It's like, yo, number one, you never know who's in the audience. You never know who's paying attention. And number two, with them watching, why not give them a show? You know what I mean? Show up 100% yourself in a way that they can't emulate, so they can keep watching but can't copy it.
Nice. Yeah. Yo, all right, so I gotta go check out that. I didn't know it was a full-on thing. I just thought it was a sticker somebody made. And I was like, yo,
I got hoodies, t-shirts, I got a patch that I threw in a jumpsuit. I'm always kind of rocking their stuff. It just looks good, and it always kind of brings up that question, man. What does it mean?
Yeah. So I'm a definitely link that in the description of the show so people can go ahead and check that out. You put your first album out in 2017, I think, unless my research is skewed. But
no, you're right.
On Bandcamp, your first album, Other Side, I think it was, is in 2017. When did you know that it was time for you to just release your music to the world and let the world hear your music?
Well, it's interesting because Other Side was my first Bandcamp single. My first album was Recollections, and that was actually, I said it was 2017, but I think it was actually 2018 that I dropped my first full-length album. But going back to the initial question, I had always uploaded things to SoundCloud in 2012, and at that time I was learning mostly the engineering side of things and kind of dabbling with my toe in the water for producing beats and everything. But in 2014, I started recording my band's first album. And all throughout that time, from 2012 to 2016, I was focused on that while the selection thing was starting to pop off and while SoundCloud was kind of at its peak. So in 2016 when the band was done, I looked back at my SoundCloud and I was like, wow, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like I'm missing out on a whole era because I didn't put anything out. So I just started putting things out as soon as the band broke up. But I had already had stuff up there from 2012. I was just never paying attention.
So for the listeners who really want to get and dive deep into your discography, go check out Bandcamp, but start at the SoundCloud. Is that where they want to start?
I mean, want is a funny word in this situation because I got like leaps and bounds better from that point. Obviously, it was years ago. But if you really do want to do the research, yeah, my first couple uploads from 2016 are still up there on SoundCloud. I won't say my 2012 stuff. That is private. That's not going to see the light of day.
I got you. I got you.
I can still listen to it, but y'all can't. Don't do that to me.
No, do it. Yeah, I got you. It's stuff that I've made is like, nah, I ain't letting this go, man. It's not the best. But I feel like if you are a true supporter of the beat makers and the music producers, you want to listen to the music they were making early and then follow the progression. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not just start at the latest thing, because that's like, you know what I mean? You've lived life, you had a different experiences, and you put in those experiences into your music. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think like as we're seeing with like Steve Lacy and other people now, it's kind of interesting where we're at musically. A lot of people don't even care to dig further than like the part of a song that's viral. You know what I mean? So I think there's merit definitely to going back and listening and, understanding the progression from a more personalized level when you start from the beginning and watch. And for those who have the time and the patience and want to go through it, I fully, endorse that. I do that all the time because that's where you start seeing like where your favorite artists are kind of influenced. You know what I mean? What changed their perspective? It's interesting.
Right. So speaking of favorite artists, like if you're able to, can you name like one beat or one song that like as your greatest beat or song of all time, like a song or a track that just like when you heard it, it like blew your mind. Like it was nothing else like you heard in the world. Like it just blew your mind. Can you, it might be one, it might be two, it might be three.
Jeez.
I know you got a lot, so
yeah, I do, because there's so many different ranges of things. But I think the thing that always holds like a lot of space in my head for just a top experience in terms of listening to a song, it's three different moments and it's all by Flying Lotus. The first time I heard Massage Situation on Adult Swim, didn't know who he was at the time, but I was like, damn, that's crazy. This beat's insane. Then Somebody Do Something off of Watching Movies with the Sound Off by Mac Miller. The first time I heard that song, I was working at a design agency and we were doing some of the promotional artwork and website design for Mac Miller's team. And I just looked into his album discography because I never gave it the chance. And I heard that song and I was like, damn, what the hell? This is crazy. Looked up and saw it was Flying Lotus, and then got into Flying Lotus. And the first time I heard Getting There was like a reset on everything I knew about production. So in order, but it's reversed, I would say the one that holds the most weight is Getting There, then Somebody Do Something, and then Massage Situation.
You can't go wrong. Like Fly Low, oh man, like I don't think he knows the impact of that like he's had on music producers and beat makers. I hope he does. Like I hope
he gotta know, bro.
He gotta know. You know what I'm saying? Like he gotta know like what he was doing and other people like DiBiase and other like Premier. Like it's a whole bunch of people that have inspired multiple generations of creators. Like they have no clue, man. So man, I will put all three of those. Like you know what I do, man. Anytime anybody recommends anything, I want people to actually listen to what you were talking about. So I'll put that inside underneath in the music. But that's later editing type of stuff, yo. But you can't go wrong with Fly Low.
If you are a producer and you haven't heard one of those three songs, you really do got to take that time and listen.
Right, right.
That's like required research.
Man, see, and that's speaking of that, because that's my next question, which is for me, I call my like the beat community like mutants, man, just because like you different from the rest of society, man. You just the way y'all think about and create music and everything else, man. It's like y'all are the mutants of the world. But if you got fellow mutants that are going to take this journey with music, what are some required, like must watch, must read, must listen to content? Like it could be a documentary, it could be a book, a movie, a podcast, it could be
Don't
anything.
do that. Damn.
Yes.
So here's the thing with that question, because it's fully loaded. I can't go into great detail about it because if you're familiar with my back catalog, I delve into a lot of different genres, and for every genre that I go to, I do a lot of research. Like there was Pump Up the Volume, which was a documentary on house music. There was Garage Island, that was a documentary on like UKG and their whole like rave culture out there. I watched like little bits of stuff on footwork when I wanted to dive more into that. All of the Red Bull Music Academy seminars are gold. For me personally, Voodoo by D'Angelo required listening. Like not on a hip hop level, but on a production level in terms of how he committed to the sonics of that album and the research that he put into crafting that album, like sitting down for hours and really listening to those who influenced him the most and pouring that into the music. That is something that years later is still appreciated by listeners and fans alike. So I think like, what, I thought it was going to be an impossible question to answer, but I think listening to Voodoo and watching any documentary you can on Voodoo and that process, the whole Soulquarians movement, it's pretty big. You start seeing where greats influence each other and the importance of community. You learn a lot through just that one album and the process of making that one album.
Man, all good recommendations. I'm gonna definitely put a link to every single one in the description, just for anybody that's listening to the show. They can actually just click on it and just go right to it. I always do that, man. So thank you for those recommendations. And speaking of like community, because let me backtrack a little bit. So from your social media, you're using like a SP44, you're using Ableton, you're using some other analog gear, you're using live drum sets and instruments and stuff like that. Like why do you use these specific pieces of musical equipment and dolls when you're creating your music?
Craigslist is the honest answer. If you really want to, if I'm to be like completely honest, I started off on my cell phone, like I said, and I bought a laptop off of Craigslist looking for something that had Photoshop cracked on it, and it had Ableton and Logic and all these other softwares for beat making. So when I decided to move off my phone, Ableton was like the one that was there, so I picked it up because it was there and I had the access to it. The SP, I had gone to like this, I guess it was like a hackathon is what they called it, but it's like a communal event where people came in to Spotify HQ and kind of like talked about the music industry at large. And the day that I went to that, I had watched the Still Shining documentary by for Jay Dilla, and I saw them talk about the 303. Then I went to this hackathon and I ran into Brain Orchestra, who I had never heard any music from and didn't know who he was. But he pulled out an SP. I think it was either the 404 or the 555. I want to say it was the 555. But he played a beat and then he put like the filter on it. And I was like, that's crazy. Like this little piece of hardware, you can play beats through it and throw effects on it. I got to get one. Right. So I got a 303 off of Craigslist. And I think I used to work at a recording studio. So I was an assistant there and an intern there. and they had all this hardware and analog gear, and that kind of introduced me into the world of collecting hardware.
Nice. So you're first of all, let me shout out Brain Orchestra, man. That's Jersey's one of Jersey's finest, man, doing his thing. Yo, but like who taught you Ableton? Because right now Ableton is like trigonometry to me. Like I can't pick it up. So who trained you? Because I need to know who your sensei was, man.
I told you, man, I'm a graduate of YouTube University, man.
Yeah, I
I
tried
went
it.
to I went to art school. So like, and when I went to art school, I had traditionally came from like cartooning and illustration, and I needed to find a major that wasn't so it just took so much to make a comic or an animation. I couldn't really commit to it. So I needed a major that was still creative, and I went to graphic design, but I didn't have any skill with Photoshop. So when I learned how to pick up Photoshop, it was like a switch kind of clicked into my head where I was like, oh, I could kind of learn the ropes at any program. Like I learned Blender through YouTube. It just takes finding the right like tutorials and spending that time getting the rudiments, learning one bit of it, every day or every couple days, so you get comfortable with all of it. And I'm still learning stuff in Ableton. There's still like a vast world that I don't fully understand.
Yeah, man. It's because it's some of the greats that are using Ableton doing some amazing things. Um, I like every time I look at like YouTube videos, I look at like Twami. Twami is creating beats in like a couple minutes on in Ableton. There's a whole bunch of other people that's using Ableton just to do their thing, man. So shout out to y'all Ableton gang, man. For real, yo. Um, but the 404, like is that a and I know like the 404 is major in the beat community. For those that don't know, like there's a 404 day for it now. I think there's a 555 for it. There's a 303 day as
Yep.
well. What's that extra piece of equipment that you use for your like glitching and stuff like that? Because it's like a touchpad or something that you use.
Yeah, that's the Chord Chaos Pad. I used to work for Chord like
Chord
back
chaos.
before the pandemic, and one of my coworkers knew. Yeah, one of my coworkers knew that I was making beats, and he dropped one on my desk, and I had that one. It's just another. I think of those things, machines, as drums on a drum set. I use them like that during my live show. Um, I think of them as just different types of drums. Like one's a snare, one's a tom, one's a cymbal. So when I want to do a fill during a song, that's where I pick one of those things to kind of do it, or both, or all three. Sometimes I use all three. It's a lot.
Nice. Yeah, man. Yo, you're more than like a beat maker, man. You're definitely like you're a beat maker, you're a DJ, you're a sound designer, which you do have some drum kits out as well. I think it's crispy drums.
Extra crispy. Yeah.
Extra crispy. Yeah, extra crispy. I got that. Um, but you're frequently seen in the East Coast beat scene as well. Like when we talk about community, um, what is that scene like when we're in the East Coast when we're talking about beat makers and DJs coming together to just play music and be involved in the community and stuff like that? What is that like?
It's kind of crucial, I think. If not for that community, a lot of us would be making music in the vacuum of our own homes, without knowing anything else around us. So I have to always shout out Beat House and Paxico Records, who were doing it way before I ever stepped foot in it. And I remember Beat House had liked one of my Instagram videos of like a beat that I was doing, and I realized that there was beat shows happening like 15 minutes away from my house in Brooklyn. And that was all while thinking like, man, I got to get to the West Coast. They're really doing it over there. So to know that we had something going on similarly on the East Coast kind of opened my world to this massive community of people that make beats. And I think just being a part of the East Coast one in particular, it's been beautiful. It's been a great kind of growing process. And it's like, especially after the pandemic, we had spent so much time sitting at home, just crafting, making beats. So when we first came back, everybody came back with sharpened swords, like fangs out, like I'm coming crazy, you better keep up.
Right.
And it's that kind of atmosphere of like friendly one-upmanship, and sometimes not as friendly, but that's cool too. Like friendly one-upmanship is what keeps that blade sharp so that you're always getting better.
Yeah, man. Like you recently just did and community is big. I support anybody that's doing anything to help bring other creatives together and just helping them like play their music in front of people. Because I've seen you like, I don't know exactly where it's at, but I know y'all be on like a stoop and y'all just be vibing, like I've seen that, y'all be killing it, and then you did like Flip a Beat Club is in Sacramento, California, doing their thing, and they branching out all over. And then you recently did like a World MC Donut Lounge, man.
Yeah.
Like, what was that experience like doing Donut Lounge?
Man, that's the homies, man. That's Armani and them. Shout out to them. I've been rocking with them since like 2018. And it's cool. It's always kind of love in that situation. And it's kind of like, it's beautiful to see the progression of their event, especially as In Plain Sight kind of takes a little hiatus, takes some downtime while I'm kind of recalculating some next moves. It's great to kind of see what they're doing and how their fan base is beginning to grow naturally. And, they're crossing some lines together that I've been kind of looking for in terms of beat shows. There's less of producers playing to other producers, and now we're starting to see more MCs kind of generate in those spaces again. And there's also like Basement in New York too, which I played earlier this year, like back in June or May. And they were more towards like dancers and bringing break dancers and b-boys and bringing house music to the forefront at their show. So having more variety in the shows and seeing different people from different, musically adjacent spaces is kind of interesting, and it's great to witness.
Nice, like I think you performed. I think Vicky Cassis was on your set. I think. Man, I can't remember who was on the card, man. It might have been Brain Orchestra, Vicky Cassis. It might have been. Man, I think I'm getting it wrong, but yeah.
I did a show with Vicky Cassis last week, but Brain Orchestra was definitely in the building. Bar was there. The homie Melton was there. It was a lot of family in the room. It felt like 2017 almost, or 2018. It was like a throwback kind of show.
Yeah, man. Like I'm all the way in Texas, so I can only see what y'all put on like social media and YouTube, but I'm like, damn, man, I wish I could fly over the world and just be at these live events, man, because man, like that's what I can't wait, man. Either way. Okay, so like collectively you have a lot of music on SoundCloud, but you also have 22 like albums, EPs, singles on your Bandcamp, and I want to make sure my listeners go support Nothing New on Bandcamp, man. Support Bandcamp artists, man, because streaming is cool, but Bandcamp is just a little bit of a better, and also support Nothing New's website as well if you're trying to support Nothing New. But I want to shed light on like a couple albums, man. Your 2020 album that you have with Trong Wizard Records called I want to say I. Am I wrong, or is it 3?
It's both. The answer is yes to that question.
And then you got another album called Amani. Amazing album, man. I have that CD right now in my collection. And then you got a dance EP that you just put out 2021, but that's it's called Waves. Like, can you go into like how those projects came into fruition?
Amani was I was just trying to, most of my albums and my creative process comes from me hearing like 2 or 3 beats that were unfinished or unused and being like, damn, those were cool. I should release those. And then thinking, I can't just do a single. Let me make an album that sounds similar. So Amani was based off of Bloom, Sent Down, and what's the last one? Abundance. Those 3 songs had already existed in some way, shape, or form. And hearing them, I thought I'll make an EP. And then the EP turned into an album, and the album became Amani. But it was a lot of like, it was the closest I ever came to kind of getting the sound that I wanted in my head without theory that I've ever gotten to. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know how to play piano traditionally, but I would hear these chord structures and I would hear these bass lines and I'd play them out. But I was going through like a dark period at that time. So it was a moment of catharsis where I was able to address a lot of things in my personal life without having to say it, but to address it through the music and through the song titles and the textures and everything. Whereas 3, initially, I was like, I have some loosies from Gldnmnd that I could put out. And I also have a couple songs that I had been working on during the pandemic that I could put out. And it was close to Bandcamp Friday. So I was like, oh, I could just put those out for a Bandcamp Friday thing in November. But I started thinking, you know, like, let me really go back and dress these songs up. And as I did that, that same kind of impulse that's like, oh, okay, then I could also write like 2 or 3 new songs. But some of the songs on 3, I had done in like a 2017 during the writing sessions for my first album, Recollections. Like, I think Limit and the track title, or rather the title track, 3, those were both written during the Recollections era. And then 2021, I was in between as I was starting to do more sync work, just doing work for advertisement purposes, getting ready to go into working a full-time job. I had ideas that I wanted to cement and put out. The first being like a drum and bass album, because I've always loved jungle and drum and bass. And then the second being this more dance-centered thing, because in all my albums there was like this dance idea, and I've had singles with dance music, but I had never put out a full dance project. And I just wanted to show my listeners and just anyone really that I can take it in like 18 different directions. You really don't know where I'm going to take it next.
Yo, because you make oh man, I keep wanting to say light work, man, but what's the name of the? All right, so you make house
Footwork?
You make footwork? Yes, there it is. Yo, you make house, you make footwork, like you make all these different genres of like music, man. Like nobody can box you in. Like, is that intentional so where nobody can pigeonhole you into one specific thing?
I was a big Legos kid growing up. I had this like never ending kind of thirst to put things together and make new things and just like build new worlds. And I think that curiosity has made its way into my personal life and into the music that I make. So if I hear something and I like it, I want to learn more about it. And through learning more about it, I'm like, I could probably try my hand at this. And it's not because I want to prove a point, despite what I had just said, where I was like, I want to show you that I can take it wherever. But it's not really intentionally to prove a point that I'm able to do all these things, but it's more to just experiment. I think the beautiful thing with production and electronic music as a whole is that there's no cap or there's no box to really sit in. If it comes from a computer, it's electronic music, so I can do whatever I want with it.
Nice. Yeah, yo, nice, man. Like when I'm, I can go and put your music on in any situation, man, and I'll be moving. Like it'll get me through a day at work. Like I can put it on and I'm just doing stuff around the house. Like you definitely put your emotion in your music, man, and I appreciate that, yo. And you take time crafting your music as well, which in a world that we live in right now, where it's like instant like gratification, like make this music. It may not be done all the way. Go ahead, put it out. You know what I mean? Like I really appreciate you taking the time to craft your sound, your music, and your albums, man.
I appreciate that being appreciated. Because low key, I'm jealous of everybody that is able to just put things out at like a breakneck speed. I took piano lessons because I wasn't able. I saw Kaylin Ellis and the Count. Shouts to both of them. But I saw them working on their beat videos, and I was like, damn, how am I gonna compete with that? I can't even figure out these basic chords on the live and like embarrass myself trying to figure out keys and chords and everything. And people were in the chat like, no, it's like A minor flat 11, like it's just all this stuff where I'm like, damn, I don't know what you guys are talking about. So I think like as much as I loved crafting music, there's a beauty in people being more vulnerable and more direct with just getting the idea done and out. And I kind of envy that in the process. If I was faster, I feel like I'd get more creative ideas out, and I'd feel a little bit better about my output, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I mean, I say take your time, man, because whenever you do whenever you do put music out, man, like it's emotionally felt, man. Like you can tell you care about the music that you put out. Like all of my guests on the podcast, they take their time with the music and they put it out. You know what I'm saying? Like so, I don't care if you like speed up or not. Like I'm tapped in, but you know what I'm saying? Like take your time, bro. Like do your thing, However long it takes, that's how long it takes.
I'd be forgetting that the music has a life of its own. You know what I mean? Like the fact, like this podcast is doing a really good job of reminding me of the fact that the past releases still, they still resonate with people. People are still listening. And I think like I saw evidence of that with Waves, when I dropped that, it was with very little promotion. I just wanted to get the ideas out so people could hear it. And I haven't put out much except for maybe Brownies with Bar, shouts to her. But I haven't put anything else out. But people still show love to that whole EP while I'm, sorting out my advertising work and finishing 3-4 projects that I'm supposed to be out the next year.
Okay, the four pillars of hip hop are like DJing, MCing, breaking, and graphing. Which one of those did you start with?
It was graffiti, man. I think like I went to art and design high school in New York City, and that was kind of the school that people that didn't get into LaGuardia kind of went to. There's plenty of people that probably put that as their first choice. I didn't. I was trying to get into LaGuardia, and when that didn't work out, I started going to this school, and it was interesting because it was kind of this melting pot of culture, and I didn't. There was stuff that I wasn't fully exposed to going to school where I went to prior, and being in those spaces, it pushed me. I mean, this is like when Dipset was getting big. Like I had stepped away from hip hop when Gldnmnd came in, and I was more into the heavy metal stuff. And even looking back now, I wish I was more paying attention to that whole Gldnmnd thing, because that's an iconic thing, Gldnmnd and Dipset respectively. But it was like trying to fit in high school, trying to be in hip hop circles without having the knowledge and the research, to have those full conversations. I didn't even know what Smack TV was. Like people were asking me if I watched Smack TV, and I was so, I didn't know anything. I was like, I don't have cable. Like quick response to just, putting an excuse out to not know what I'm talking about. But what ended up happening is like the graffiti, because there were so many different graffiti writers there. And it was just this common thread between graffiti and smoking weed that allowed me to kind of get along with everybody there. And from there, I picked up on more hip hop knowledge. I started getting into MF Doom and Nujabes and Dilla. And that was just through doing graffiti and changing my circle of friends and getting to know different people and smoking weed.
Yo, man, So, yeah, graphing, you could definitely tell like you were in like doing some type of like artistic work, because whenever somebody orders a CD like the Gldnmnd album or your Bandcamp, you're gonna get a fresh made thank you note, man. Like you can tell. I think I might have it. We just moved, man, to Texas, so it's in my like storage stuff. But I think I got it in a frame, man. Because just because, like, it's not a lot of people that do that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's different, you know. So everybody, go ahead and support the merch that Nothing New has on his Bandcamp, man, and just support it, man. Like, yo, have him. He should be sold. You should be sold out right now on everything, man. That's the way I feel. You know what I mean? So let's get you sold out ASAP. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, I'd love that. I still
Yeah.
got copies, man.
Let's go, man. Let's go. So I know you named it. I know you talked about it a little bit as far as like rock and jazz, Dilla, MF Doom and stuff like that. But if you had to, would you say they were like your childhood beat maker superheroes and your adult beat maker superheroes, or are there different artists that can fit both of those, childhood and adulthood?
It's interesting, man. It's interesting. I didn't develop a taste in music till like middle school, high school. And I think I really loved the Neptunes growing up. Like I loved the way Chad played keys. I loved the drums and ideas that Pharrell had. I was obviously a fan of Timbaland. But I didn't have a formal introduction into production and hip hop up until I think the college dropout. And with that, I kind of made my way back into hip hop. And from there, the next hip hop album I remember buying was Mad Villain and doing that research. So as a teenager, I want to say it was a combination of Pharrell, Timbaland, and Madlib. And then as an older teen, like 19, and then into my 20s, it was Dilla, it was Flylo, it was Jabez. It was really starting to do the research. And as an adult, man, that list is endless. It really depends on, I think like my heroes depend on what I'm looking for in a hero. You know, it's innovation. It's what they provided to the culture. Like shouts to E1 for putting me fully into like a space where I was like, I got to do all my back catalog listening on DITC and start listening to like Finesse and like fully listening to Big L's work and fully listening to Showbiz and AG's work and getting an idea of that production and fully diving into Premiere and understanding like what he truly provided to the culture in terms of production. So it's like, it's ever changing. I feel like I find something in people's music and I'm like, damn, that's a crazy contribution. Let's like fully focus on that and see the length to which they provided that.
Nice, yo. You can't go wrong with the people that you just named because they all made amazing contributions to the culture, man. Like, yo, man, like Dilla, New Jabez. When I was researching for the New Jabez episode, which is like maybe 3 or 4 episodes back, I was like just looking at like all of the documentaries that people were talking about and like the comparisons that they were talking about with him and Jay Dilla. You really shouldn't compare artists, but you can tell like they were like maybe like just taking small things from everybody. I feel like in right now, if you inspired, be inspired, sample, just take certain things, but don't like blatantly just out there and just steal their whole style. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think about artists sampling and just using other artists as inspiration to create things?
Well, inspiration is something that we really don't have any control of. It's an emotional response to hearing something or seeing something, right? Mm-hmm. So inspiration is different than, just flagrantly biting off of somebody. You know what I mean? And modern hip hop now, I think biting is kind of okay. Like people do it all the time. But that's not how I kind of go about it. And it's not only from like a hip hop perspective, it's also from just a real life perspective. Like there's only one you. So if you're spending your time trying to sound like someone else, you're effectively playing in somebody else's lane while your lane is completely unoccupied. You're fighting for space with someone else that already has their own thing. So why do that when you could, focus on what you have to offer? Because no one lives your life. You know what I mean? There's no way anybody can live your particular life and experience things in the order that, you've experienced it. It's all formative. You know what I mean? So it's cool to take inspiration. People do it all the time, whether or not you think you do or not. Plenty of people are like, yo, I have no inspirations. My style is my own. And I feel like that's BS a little bit. Like, we're inspired by everything and anything. So even if you don't realize it, you're probably taking inspiration from somewhere. But it's whether or not you are, listening and being inspired, or going out there and outright trying to rip somebody off. That's the key difference between those two things.
Yo, you just dropped a whole bunch of gems, and you was talking your shit. Yeah, yo, go ahead, man. Yo, talk your shit, yo. Yo.
But it's important though, because people are so trying to be competitive with somebody else, and it's like, oh, they did this thing, so let me try and do this thing too. And it's like, nah, just do what works for you, because at the end of the day, it's all based on how you live and what you've experienced. And people will, flock and resonate with that more than they'll resonate with you trying to be someone else. It's authenticity that really translates, especially in today's day and age.
I think, speaking of that, like when you said, do you, like, who was it, man? I think it was T-Pain who had the clip on that went viral. He was like, yo, it's already been done. Like, yo, do something else.
Something original. do something else. Something. Anything. He's mad.
Yeah, he was heated, but he's right.
He was mad.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's where we're at now. Music has become fully commodified. And it's taken one step further with like TikTok, and how TikTok people are moving now. You don't even have to be talented at anything. You just got to go viral. So, and with going viral, you could have a whole hit song written after the fact. So, like, at this point, music is a commodity and it's a business. It was always a business, but it's fully in business mode now. So, like, people are just trying to make things to make bread. So the passion is kind of missing, and that curiosity and that need to explore further is kind of missing from the art. And if we could get back to that, we'd have more interest in music to look back and listen to.
I think it's gonna come back, man, slowly but surely. I think it's coming back, man, as you kind of weed out like who's the fakers and who are the reals. Like, but I mean, for people that are listening to like mainstream media, like radio and stuff like that, you're really not gonna be able to tell. You really gotta just dig, man, and be on like YouTube or SoundCloud or Bandcamp or anything, man, and just dig for these artists that are creating and actually putting care and love into their music. You know what I'm saying? So, man, yo. So I gotta ask you about In Plain Sight NYC, which is like, can you tell us what that is exactly? And then who's associated with In Plain Sight NYC as well?
So In Plain Sight is currently me, Kimani, who goes by Swing Low. It used to be Kind of Relevant. He's the host and the co-founder. Thomas Piper, who's our resident, and he handles a lot of video. Terry Power, she also handles video. And Spacecraft, who's our VJ. He's doing a lot of the digital, not digital, but doing a lot of the visual projections that you're seeing. And I think I'll throw him in here too. Our homie Zoe Fat Blood, who works with us at Zero Space, he's also somebody that's done work with us on In Plain Sight in the past with visuals and just production things.
Nice.
As a space for music and artists to kind of come through, beat makers and producers to come through and showcase their work after Beat House, after Fresh Daily from Beat House moved over to LA. There was kind of an opening for new talent and new producers to take the stage, and we formed a bridge for that.
Nice. So, like, how can people go ahead and support In Plain Sight right now?
That's a good question. We took a step back to just like recalculate and reformat our whole show and figure out how we can provide value to the New York culture, because now there's so many different showcases that are doing beat shows and producer based events. So I took it upon myself as the, you know, kind of the head to step back and say, okay, how do we provide value otherwise? So for now, you can just get to date with anybody who's played our shows. That's how you can support In Plain Sight right now while we're, you know, recalibrating, supporting people that have been on our bill and the other shows and events in New York. You could always follow us because we will be coming back in one way or another, hopefully within the next year or so. We're just trying to figure out the logistics for it all. But for the current, you know, support anybody that's a part of the group and support anybody that's ever been on our stage, and just support the New York and the East Coast, like hip hop producer, you know, scene community as a whole.
Yeah, yo, that's what I'm gonna do. I would suggest my listeners go ahead and support that as well, man. Like, if you make music, and if you're coming on and you listening to this, and if you make music, man, go support the artists that are local, man. It means a world, and it makes a world of difference when you support locally first compared to support. Like, you can support your mainstream artists and stuff like that, but it's people right where you live at, maybe in your apartment complex, maybe living next door in your house,
Facts.
that's making music, that's like creating, man. Support at home first, yo. You know what
Facts. Don't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool to support In Plain Sight, and it's even cool to support the New York and East Coast stuff. But to piggyback off of what you just said, that right there is so important. Building with the people to your immediate left and right is the only way to like expand. You could try and build with people out of state, and that's, you know, that's fair and it's totally possible. People do it all the time, especially now with everything going digital after the pandemic. But there's still so much value in meeting people that you can talk to, that you can hang out with beyond making music and beyond social media interactions. Meeting those people will only inspire you to keep on going with your music, and maybe even inspire you to build a collective and build a voice.
Yeah, man. Yo, Yo, man, I got. So first of all, shout out to everybody, you, Swing Low, everybody associated with In Plain Sight NYC, man. Yo, I'm excited for what y'all gonna come out with next. And I mean, I'm in Texas, so I'm a support from afar, but either way, it's support. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we're trying to go live streaming with it, man. We're trying to do radio. We're trying to go live stream with our shows. It's a lot that we're trying to accomplish.
Let's go, man. Yo, let's go, man. Yo, I'm ready for it, man. So, it's the last three questions. I gotta ask this, man. And I don't know if you know these artists, but it would be amazing if you had a show with Radicule, YTC, Brain Orchestra, you, who else? Jay Hershey. Have you met any of those artists?
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I just went to Vermont with Radicule, and Brain's been the homie for a while. And Jay Hershey was just at Vicky Cassis's album listening party. If you listening, this hasn't dropped yet, but November 4th, Cassis World is out. So show her some love. That's a local artist on our side. YTC is the only name that I don't think I'm fully familiar with, but I've seen it in passing.
Yeah, man.
Everybody else is the homies.
Yeah, YCC is a beast. Yo, like, and Vicky Cassis, man, yo, November 4th, I'm definitely supporting, man. Yo, she's got some things. If you go back into the podcast, like, what do you call that? Not the
archives.
The archives, you know what I'm saying? It's only a year and a half old, but either way, like, if you go back in the archives where I did an interview with Vicky, man, like, she's doing some things with her station that she's got going on.
Shout out QSTV. Yeah.
QSTV, there it is. Yeah, man. Like, they do some amazing things as well. Dope stuff. She just had a art exhibit, I think, as well, like last week, I think.
Yeah, that was the listening show for her album. That was at Zero Space. That's where I currently work. And I was on the bill. So was Posy Bell, Brown Jewel Beats. It was a lot of people on that bill.
Brown Jewel's she a killer, yo.
Yeah,
Man.
bruh, I didn't know till I knew, man. I was there like, yo, what?
Yo, man, she's been on the podcast too. Yo, she's amazing. I can't wait for her to put more music out. I know she doing the teaching thing. She been traveling all over the world. Like, yo, man, some amazing artists. Everybody we named, man, go follow them, support as well, man. So, what last two questions? What's one thing you wish you knew before you started your own music and creation journey?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think like the value of putting things out. I wish I fully understood the value of putting things out as they were getting done and not just sitting on things. If I would have fully grasped that concept and understood that concept, I would have been putting things out during the prime of the SoundCloud era. And because I was so focused on just stacking things and, it goes in tandem with also building locally. You know what I mean? I think I wish I knew the value of building locally, and I wish I knew the value of putting things out. Because if I would have done those two things, I think I would have moved a little bit further in my career. I would have been faster, but the third thing, there's three things that I guess I wish I knew. The third thing is in tandem with the other two things. And the third thing that I wish I knew was understanding the value of my own timing. So as much as I wish that I put more things out and I wish I grew locally earlier, understanding that my timing is my own and that, what is for me is truly for me. And if it's happening for someone else, I can just appreciate it from afar and know that whatever is for me is coming and it's on the way, regardless of whether or not, somebody else gets their thing. So understanding that I'm on my own timing and that, I don't know, there's nothing to compare like my path. And this goes for, anybody listening to, there's nothing to compare your path to that already exists because you're on it alone. You know what I mean? No one else has traveled this way before. So your timing is crucial. So you can't really doubt that timing and you can't really, try and put confines on it. Like if it hasn't happened by X point, I got to stop. You just got to keep going until whatever you see for yourself comes to fruition. It can take a lot of time, but if you really have your eye on the ball and you know what you need to do to get those things done, it's coming. It's on its way.
Yo, let me go ahead. Finger snaps to that, man. You know what I'm saying? yo,
But that's
man.
like beats too, bro. Like it's like beats are really like one of the biggest metaphors in my life. Like keep on occurring. You know what I mean? Like I think like trusting your timing is like people talk about when they turn off quantize and start understanding their own field. Like when I did that, I really started tapping into who I am as an artist, as a musician, and as a person. So that timing is beyond just like, the metaphor of, the things that happen in your life, but it's also just within the beats, trusting yourself and trusting your own rhythm, your own ideas, your own, individual identity is bigger than anything else I could, possibly list.
Yo, mad crazy Jules, man. Thank you for that. like when people hear this, they gonna like. That's what I wanted people to like to listen for, like just the jewels that y'all are just dropping. Even if it's been a short time where people are making music, I know somebody else that's only been making music, like Tom Bay. He's only been making music maybe 3 or 4 years, but he still got some experience in jewels. And you've been all over. You've been to art schools. You've been agencies. Like, yo, you got experience, man, and that's the stuff I want to the listeners to pay attention to, so they can take those jewels and incorporate them into their own journey as well. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for that, man. Like, okay, last question as we round this out, man. And one more time, man, we are on episode number 70 with nothing new, man. What can the internets look out for from Nothing New and like the rest of 2022 into 2023? Like, go ahead and like
Ooh.
plug your projects,
Damn.
live shows, all of that stuff, man.
In terms of shows, I have not been forward in booking shows. They kind of just happen. So follow me on Instagram, and I'll be promoting whatever shows I'm on. For the 2022, I think I'm just playing it cool, playing it low. I got a couple releases slated for 2023. I'm gonna do a stream sometime before this year that'll kind of showcase some of the stuff that's coming. But I've got an album with my girlfriend Shanoa, where it's more pop centered, and it's hard to explain it in full depth. But when you hear it, you'll see it, and you'll get it. I also have my first fully produced rap album. I'm on the beats, and the good homie from Jersey, Pootie, is rapping over top my production. It's the first time that's ever gonna happen. Hopefully, the first of many. I've got like a million different singles with different vocalists that I need to plan out properly, and then I've got like 2 or 3 different albums, in various forms of in various stages of readiness. You know what I mean? So I think you got 2 vocal projects where I'm on production, and you got at least 1 or 2 beat tapes and a handful of singles. There's a lot of work coming 2023. Tune in sometime this year for a stream of some of it.
I'm gonna tell them tune in now. Tune in right now. You know what I mean?
If you're listening,
you know what I'm saying? follow his Bandcamp, follow on SoundCloud, follow his social medias, Twitter, Instagram, like all of that, man. Follow In Plain Sight NYC as well, man. Like how can people get in touch with or tap into you? Like what are your socials and all that stuff?
I'm at underscore or woo, not me, not knowing my own handle. We can edit that out. Or we can keep it in because it's jokes. But,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's at nothing underscore NEUE on most social media and on streaming, and Bandcamp. And I think honestly the best way to get in contact with these days is probably Twitter. I'm always sharing. Because if I'm mixing an album, you're probably gonna mix tips. If I'm doing a lot of digging and research, you'll probably get like some recommendations for music to listen to. If there's something funny going on, I'm probably gonna say something about it. But like I'm always on Twitter. Instagram, not so much lately. I'm still trying to figure out my whole content plan for that because that's a whole different thing. But I'll be more frequent on that in 2023. For now, Twitter is like the main way to really just, reach out, show love, support. I'm always on it. It's like the fastest social media we have. If y'all not leveraging Twitter, there's a mistake happening.
Yeah. I think everybody's trying to go to the what's the other one that the kids is on now?
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. I think everybody's trying to go to TikTok, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I started it, but I'm like, I don't got that much time to be figuring out that stuff, yo. So, but yeah, man, yo. So, do you have any final thoughts for for the listeners that may be paying attention to you, in plain sight? Like anything you want to say to anybody?
I mean, first and foremost, love to everybody purchasing drum kits. Love to everybody purchasing albums and stuff. That truly means me, especially right now when I'm, just recalculating how I'm going to go about this. Getting love like that, it just keeps the fire in me. But for those listening, people that are making music, never stop learning, man. I think there's just so much to learn in the world of music and just in life in general. And I think we limit ourselves to saying, okay, this doesn't really fit what I think I need to know. But when you start opening your mind up and saying, okay, I'm just going to keep on learning things. I'm going to be open to learning whatever things I can, get my hands around. You open yourself up to finding new passions, finding new hobbies, finding new ways to, contextualize the world in your eyes. So I think just learning and focusing on being a student always is so crucial to the process.
Yeah, man. Yo, y'all heard it from him from Nothing New, man. Yo, he speaks in beats, blips, pixels, and bits. It's pronounced Nothing New, yo. Yo, my guy, I appreciate you for tapping in with me, man. Yo, y'all support Nothing New. Go ahead. I'm gonna link everything that we talked about in the description of the show. I hope everybody has an amazing weekend. And yo, we gonna be back next week with another one, yo. But for right now, run this up. Support Nothing New in plain sight right now. Don't wait, and then tap in the rest of 2022 into 2023 as well. Nothing New. It was a pleasure and an honor talking to you, man. I got crazy jewels out of it, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Nah, for real. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate just being able to politic and chop it up, man. That's where it's all at.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is Nothing New, man. The episode number 70, man. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. I appreciate every second that you spent listening to the show, liking it, leaving a comment, leaving a rating. I know on Spotify you can leave a rating. Go ahead, give me them 5 stars if you feel like it. There's also links in the description of the show to support the show. Again, if you want to, buy me a coffee, or if you want to become a Gldnmnd.bandcamp.com subscriber, which directly goes back into making this podcast what it can be. And I know it can be something even better than what it is right now. Without all of the politicking and the bullshit, you know what I mean? So, yo, thank you again. I hope you have an amazing week. Run this back if you know what I mean? If you got a laughter out of this, some jewels out of this, share this, all that type of stuff. And I will see you next week, inshallah. You know what I mean? Peace and love, yo.
These lights represent every living person on the planet. The white lights are humans. And these are the mutants.
They tell like younger kids or other producers like that's cheating, you can't really accept it, but bro, like when it comes to this producing shit, you can do whatever you want.
You've been listening to the Rec Show podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Remember 3 things. Believe in your music. Take care of your mentals. Become the best version of yourself. Until the next one, Gldnmnd signing off. Peace and love, yo.
To be the best, you got to work overtime. To be the best, you got to work overtime.
These young boys getting better. This is not like the NBA when you can retire. Like this is, you have to keep going.